Jeremy's,
No biggie.
Jeremy's half drunk already, so.
Nice.
I am half. I'm getting all the way there too.
I'm a little more than half.
Yeah, that's the bonus part about doing it from home. That could, actually, maybe I could have tried that tonight. I could have just popped in on Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm just going to jump right in here. So, welcome back to Rabbit Troop Sucks. We're a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. And today, we're going to come at you with 2008 Speed Racer. And before we go too far into this, as always, I'm your host, Paul. Next to me is my co-host, Mike.
Hello. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry.
There's Colin, who may now just leave.
How can I follow that?
Yeah, he's done.
There's also Jeremy.
Yo.
And there is Lamar.
Hello.
And today we're going to look at a movie. A movie that is very polarizing for many. 2008, Speed Racer. A young driver, Speed Racer, aspires to be the champion of the racing world with the help of his family and his high-tech Mach 5 automobile. This is 2008. This movie is PG, and I'm going to go in and try to defend it to everyone every which way, and I'm going to open with this.
Technically, it's a Mach 4, 5, and 6 automobile.
That's true.
That's true,
Lots
yeah.
of Machs.
Mocking it up.
But I'm going to defend this movie in a couple ways because I know this movie, no joke, is pretty polarizing for a lot of people, probably some in this room as well. Our friend Chris, who has been a guest a couple times on his podcast, Less Than or Sequel To, they did not like Speed Racer.
No.
And it's one of the reasons Mike and I picked it back up because Mike and I have always highlighted we do like Speed Racer. And part of my defense that I'm just going to start from the beginning is this is a PG movie based on the Speed Racer cartoon. And my thought is, if someone didn't like this movie and they saw it, I totally get it. But if someone actively likes Speed Racer, the original cartoon, saw this and then didn't like it, I'm kind of confused. How do you feel about that, Mike?
Yeah, I just think this movie is so fun. I don't know.
I mean, and Mike likes, you like the original cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid.
Well, so that's going to be the, yeah, that's going to say, that's for Nemo.
Yeah.
We were not born in the 60s. Yeah, that's going to be my defense, that if you like that cartoon, not just like Mike, but if one does, then you would probably like this film.
I dressed up as Speed Racer for Halloween.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
Mike was Speed Racer for Halloween.
And it was a dope-ass costume.
It was. Do you still have the helmet?
Yeah.
I do not have the helmet.
What did you get?
Who was your Trixie?
Did you get rid of it?
Yeah, I was Chim Chim. Yeah, I got rid of the helmet. And I bought this dope jacket that I'm too fat for now.
Yeah, that was like a white jacket.
Yeah.
You know, and like the ascot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had the whole thing.
I have pictures of that somewhere.
Yeah.
I built a $1.5 million car for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Just rode around in Mach 5.
I put stripes on my fucking Volkswagen.
Well, I will tell you, hanging out with Mike on that Halloween with him as Speed Racer was a lot different than when Mike went as Magnum PI. And basically, in my perspective of being in his car, it looked like Mike wasn't even wearing shorts.
I was barely wearing shorts.
It was a different experience. Speed Racer was more pleasurable.
It was a warmer costume for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How many of you watched Speed Racer, like the cartoon, before this?
I was
Like,
just about to ask you that, Paul.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
watch this all the time. Like, I'm very actively a fan of Speed Racer. Lamar, Mike, we were all in a bowling team together. My bowling ball is etched in with the words Racer X on it. And when I bought it, everyone's like, what's it? Not you guys, but like, everyone's like, what is that? And I was like, it's kind of like a nod to Speed Racer. People are like, whatever. So yeah, my ball is called Racer X.
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually saw this movie in the theater when it came out in IMAX.
How was that?
It was
Oh,
dope.
nice.
Yeah.
I saw it with my mother, who is in town presently. So this is a fun throwback.
Did she watch this version with you again?
Yeah, Mike forced her to watch Speed Racer.
I feel that's
No,
probably the way
She's
to
like,
go to watch Speed Racer is big IMAX
Yeah.
screen, possibly 3D. This is a movie that can cater to a 3D audience.
Absolutely. Like it lends itself really well to that format. And honestly, watching it again, like this, I'm not trying to flex, but like if you have a nice TV and dope surround sound, this movie fucking slaps because it is bonkers and in your face, and I think it's mixed really well. I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun. But if you watch it like on the nav screen in your rental car, like Jeremy did, it maybe it's less fun.
I will say, even on our group text messages that we have, we have Rabbit Troop Zugs group text messages. Do you and your friends? No, you do not. Maybe that's what we should give away for auction for one month. You can be on those text messages, and then we drop.
That would be hilarious.
I'll let you in for money.
But I overall agree with that, Mike. I watched it like on a nicer TV, and I had this movie. I own it, so I watched it through streaming iTunes. I do feel rewatching this movie, there are clear updates that are needed for the CG, the computer graphics, and I'm not super nitpicky about this, but I'm like, there's just a couple scenes and races where I was like, if they remastered this or did that, like nothing else, just kind of update those things.
That's
like,
fair.
Like, don't go super George Lucas on me, but just like a lot's happened in the last, 15 plus years.
For
like,
sure.
like
Yeah,
there could
some
be a lot.
of the scenes are like watching like F-Zero now.
Yeah, Jeremy, how did you describe it? That you said like the forefront.
So I just looked it up on IMDb, and there's a piece of trivia about this.
There's a reason
So-
that it looks like that.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that I should say is that I have never watched Speed Racer. I watched this movie, and then I watched a couple episodes of Speed Racer from I think it's like the 60s. Am I correct in that? Or 70s?
Yeah.
And what they tried to do when they filmed this, and this is the Wachowski siblings' first high definition movie that they ever filmed in high def. And I guess what they tried to do is film the foreground and the background with the same clarity, which you can do in high def. And because they were filming on a green screen, in order to replicate some of those, like the scenes that took place in like the 60s animation cartoon. And that's one of my big hangups on it, is that it just looks weird. Like you can tell it's green screen. There's no like depth to it or anything like that. And the scenes are bonkers, and I watched it in a rental car, and then I also watched it this morning and took notes on it, and I like it better than I did when I was on my drive home.
Well, I should hope so.
Jeremy, you saying that,
But I have mixed feelings about it.
you saying that and knowing that, I think that's what they were striving for, and it worked in that fashion for me.
Yeah.
I, like you, have just seen bits and parts of the old cartoons. It's not something that I would go to, but if it was on, I'm like, this is kind of funny. I gravitated more toward the Western cartoons from growing up. It's nothing bad. Speed Racer it had its moments, kind of kitschy. I know all the memes. There's a scene where the theme song is catchy. I think we can all agree on that.
Well, he is a demon on wheels.
Even if you haven't seen this cartoon, you know the theme song. You probably heard someone hum it. You probably heard it. So it's classic in that sense. Going and watching this movie, it looks like they're trying to capture that element through the technology that you describe. And I think
if you're a fan of Speed Racer the cartoon, you're gonna like this movie.
And that was my overall argument. They're like, again, I understand if someone watched this and they're like, I didn't really like it, it's not for me. But the disconnect for me is if someone's like, I like Speed Racer the cartoon, I watched this movie's weird. I'd be like, really? Like, I feel to make us. I'm gonna throw this out. I feel what I'm about to compare this to is a greater version of this, but I think I'm alone. If you haven't seen this, I thought the Super Mario movie that recently came out was the best thing you could do for Super Mario Brothers if you were going to make a movie. Like, I thought that movie, honestly, was perfectly done. Now, if someone's like, that movie's not for me, I don't like cartoons, I'm not interested in Mario, I totally get it. But if you're like, I really like Mario, and now I watched this movie's awful, I'd be like, are you sure you like Mario? And are you sure you knew what you're watching? And I feel exactly the same with Speed Racer, where it's, if you've seen it, you totally are picking up the same vibes, and this is the live action version of that cartoon.
Yeah.
Even though Mario's animated, but like the sensibilities in Mario and all that stuff, it's totally there. There's like a million Easter eggs in that movie, and I'm sure there's a million Easter eggs in this movie. I'm just not versed as much as I am with like growing up everything Mario, and then I just know a little bit about Speed Racer.
I mean,
Are you prepared to review the John Leguizamo Super Mario Brothers movie?
The last time we watched that movie was me, Lamar, and Mike, and it's like a 2-hour movie, and it felt like 5. It just
it's bananas.
because we're
It's
like,
hard.
haha, this is funny. Like we're having a good time. I'm like, oh my god, it's still going. Like it was like just like a trudge to get through.
We were really drunk that night. I remember
We
that.
were very drunk that night. Yeah,
You got to
Drunk
be.
enough to put it on.
yeah.
That's what made Mario super.
We started drunk. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they the Wachowski. I'll say brothers because this was the last movie they were billed as that.
Yeah,
But I guess sisters now.
now or siblings. I
What?
think there's
Yeah,
siblings.
you have to. Siblings is the PC version.
Okay, so
I was
they're
like-
not. We don't say sisters because they both identify as women
But I think
I
they,
don't
they
know,
are
man.
advertised as siblings.
as siblings. Okay,
I think if you say siblings, you don't get sued by either side.
that's fair. Well, I know for a time, like when one had transitioned and the other hadn't, they went by siblings because they weren't there yet. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, the Wachowskis. They set out to make a live action cartoon. Like they made no apologies
Right.
about it. This is like the reverse Roger Rabbit. Like everything is animated except for the people.
Right.
So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, definitely these siblings known clearly for all of the Matrix films.
Yeah.
The other big one I never saw, Cloud Atlas. I know Mike has. I have not.
Cloud Atlas is a fucking mess.
I think that's what you told me, where it was just like another movie where it was
It's
like
super
it's-
long.
That's
and I
the
thought
thing.
it was fucking boring as shit.
That's
dude.
what basically Mike's review.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm like, we watch a lot of these movies and for the podcast, and I have a lot of fun. Even if the movie's bad, yes, I know we go back and forth with a couple of these movies, and they're bad, and some of you are like, this is a terrible time. I understand that's just a couple of movies, but like, I think Cloud Atlas is like 3.5 hours. Like, if I'm in it, it better be a damn good movie because I just do not have the time per week.
There was, I don't know, Cloud Atlas looked really cool. There are a lot of good people in it. I'd never read the book.
Yeah, I need reviews like it's like Oppenheimer, where everyone's like,
No.
it's great, it's long, it's worth it. I'm like, yes.
Well, it's
Now-
like it's like 7 different stories.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just too ambitious. I don't know that works in film.
Well, let's
Well, I think
jump.
the book was like fucking 800 pages or some
Right,
shit
yeah.
like that.
It's still being
man.
written.
Yeah, it's never been done.
It's an ongoing novel.
Let's go through some of these movies, and some of these movies, some of these actors in this movie,
Yes.
and some of these actors have been in movies that I'm looking at one right now that I'll just get to that I do want to do for this podcast.
I want to guess.
Okay,
Is it Rain?
it is not. I don't know what that is.
He's the
Taijo?
yeah.
Oh yeah, yes, I would like to do that.
Yeah, Nemo, shout out. Rain, your boy.
Yeah. So we have Emil Hirsch, and I said this very early on in this podcast. Emil Hirsch, I think, is honestly one of my favorite contemporary actors.
This is his second appearance with us.
Yeah. So the last film we did with Emil Hirsch was An Evening with Beverly Loughlin from 2018. I love Emil Hirsch. I think he just sells it to me. And I know I'm going to note one of his most notable films, 2007, Into the Wild. Mike does not like this film.
No, he doesn't.
And that's fine. Like, I just always want to note, I thought Emil Hirsch was good in that movie, and pretty much every movie I've seen him in. One movie that I would do with him is The Girl Next Door, which I love,
That movie's
2004.
great.
There are other movies I do, and I think he was a good pick for Speed Racer all throughout this movie. He's very Keanu Reeves for me, where he does more body acting than he has with dialogue, and I think it works. And I'm not saying that as a diss to Emil Hirsch. I'm just like, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue. Speed Racer doesn't have a lot of dialogue. I get it. Matthew Fox, probably best known for Lost. He is in a movie called Bone Tomahawk that came out in 2015.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it-
Kurt
my
Russell,
goodness.
or not Kurt Russell. Was it Kurt Russell?
It is
I
Kurt
forgot
Russell.
about
And
that.
it is
Yeah.
Kurt Russell. And it's
Fucking
listed,
great movie,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's listed as a Western horror. And I was like, when I remember like loading it up, I'm like, here we go. And I was like, this movie's awesome.
Bone Tomahawk fucking
Yeah.
rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So Matthew Fox, I really like. I thought Matthew Fox made an excellent Racer X, even just like the visuals. Again, minimal dialogue. Who doesn't love Christina Ricci as Trixie in this?
Oh, I love Christina Ricci.
Yeah, I mean,
Second appearance.
oh yeah, we so our first appearance with Christina Ricci was The Hard Way from 1991. She was just a young child. A lot of you will know Christina Ricci clearly recently in Yellow Jackets, Buffalo 66, Addams Family, Casper. Susan Sarandon plays mom. Second appearance.
Second appearance, yeah.
Ping Pong Summer, which we did in 2014. Really notable. Thelma and Louise, The Client. She's in Blue Beetle, which I didn't know, and I really would like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah, John Goodman. I love John Goodman.
Fellow Missourian.
I was gonna say, shout out. When Jeremy and I were going to school together, high school, junior high, there are tons of John Goodman commercials. I guess like his brother owned some kind of car company. Are there still any of these commercials?
No. And he went to Missouri State University, formerly Southwest Missouri State University, which is where I went.
Yeah, and he would do all these commercials. Like, it was a very local set of commercials. Like, clearly someone who... I was under the impression that maybe it was his brother. It was such a long time ago. But people are best going to know him from 10, Cloverfield Lane, Connors, Roseanne, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Lamar. I still don't get it, Big Dan.
Still don't get it, man.
And then we get a lot of other, smaller cameos. But that's kind of your core group, at least of the family. Yeah, and so welcome to it. I know we worked our way up to some Speed Racer introductions, but the movie opens up. We see current Speed Racer who is being called to the track, like, attention all drivers, like, you're going to be, like, racing soon. And you just see his back, and he's sitting in the locker room. I think it's kind of a badass scene where he seems like to be clearing his mind, but he's got a lot of thoughts. And we transition to a young Speed Racer tapping his foot. He's taking a test in a classroom, and we learn tests in school, they're not for Speed Racer, which is his name, everybody. Speed, first name, last name, Racer. Tests are not for him. He fills out the test in an obscure way that we'll later find out what happens. He fails that test, and we just learn he's born to drive. Every thought this kid has. It's kind of funny because it is a very similar Matrix mentality where over the course of at least the first Matrix, like Neo's like, I have to unlock my potential. And Speed Racer kind of does the same, but clearly as a kid. And his potential is, if you put me behind the wheel of a car, like I'm basically a god.
Well, his name's Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His name wrote the story.
Technically, his name is Speed, and then the family's name is Racer.
Right. They named their kid Speed, which is great.
Named it after a fucking drug.
Yeah.
And we find
So
out
one of my criticisms though about this movie is throughout the entirety of the movie there is constant like 5-second bursts of current present time and then like a minute or two of like past time.
Yeah.
And it happens so often.
Yeah, there were a couple times where you don't know. Yeah, it's hard to orient.
Throws me off
Yeah.
periodically. It just happens a lot.
Well,
and I don't mind it because I think the transitions were good, but it just happens so much.
Well, there's one that I'm kind of jumping the gun where it's a future scene of racing, but a guy's telling Speed like how it's
Right.
going to unfold. And for
yeah,
a
that
moment,
was real confusing.
And for a moment, I'm like, is this just like the prophecy if it goes through? And it's not. It's
Well,
straight up like that is what happens.
It's kind of both. Like
Yeah.
he's telling him what's going to happen while we're seeing the future when it happens exactly the
Play
way he
out,
says
yeah.
it. They don't. That's disorienting.
Well, this young Speed fills out his Scantron bubbles
Mm-hmm.
just to say Rex, and that is his older brother that he looks up to.
Go Rex, go.
Go Rex, go!
Mm-hmm.
And is he driving a Mach 4 at this point in time?
He must be.
Yeah.
Could even been an earlier mock.
Yeah. So, yeah, he loves his brother. He loves racing. That's all he ever thinks about. So he leaves school. Mom is kind of pissed off. Mom's name is Mom by Susan Sarandon. He leaves school, and Rex, the cool older brother, picks him up and is like, I'm going to go take you to the track, but this is kind of our little secret. And he basically learns to drive from his brother, and his brother gives him a lot of like sage advice. When they're back at the track, he's like, you got to close your eyes. You've got to listen, which seems very counterintuitive, but he's basically using the Force like Luke Skywalker in an X-Wing, which is kind of badass. And then you see a little back and forth of, Speed in the modern time, zipping up his jacket, and he goes to this current racetrack. This, for me, I will note this is one of my two favorite races, and neither of them are at the end. I just really like the idea of this race. So we're back on this track, and we're back at the past track, and you see, Rex teaching Speed. But then now we're again on the current track, and everything looks like a live action anime. You get super cool announcers, and there's a lot of cameos. It was just too hard for me to write down. There's a bunch of cameo people as announcers, and this looks super comparative to the cartoon. Speed just like jumps in the car and guns it. His younger brother Spritle and Chim Chim the monkey are there. Trixie's there too. Everyone's like now it's go Speed go, and we'll actually hear that later. Yeah, this is just kind of interesting. I like kind of the setup, and Speed just dominates this race. I just like right from the get-go, Speed is just delivering this race every which way. And John Goodman, who plays Pops, he highlights, he's like, you know whose record he might beat, and we learn that it's Rex's record, his older brother. We don't really know where Rex is right now, but his older brother has set a world record for this track, and Speed Racer is, I love this. I mean, as someone who has played Super Mario Kart, Speed starts racing the ghost car of his brother. So if you haven't played Super Mario Kart, if you ever want to get faster at tracks, you could just do like solo driving, and then you'd like drive throughout the track, and then it was like, do you want to try to beat that time? But Nintendo would keep track of your car, and then you would be racing a ghost car of yourself. I always thought that was super cool. Yeah. And that's exactly what's happening in Speed Racer. He's racing a memory, which is, I think, kind of badass.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to do it. This is amazing. Like, this is, international news. Like, the younger brother of Rex Racer, who for some reason is not here, is going to, beat this record. And at the very last moment, Speed takes his foot off the gas, and it's kind of real subtle. And he does not beat the record by a split second, or maybe a second.
Less than that, probably.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" But it's still notable. Like the second, record is by his brother, and that record still stays intact. And you could even tell the Racer family is happy about this. Like a mixed bag. So you'd be like, "That's kind of weird. Like, wouldn't you want him to beat his brother?" Because it was all positive. But to jump the gun, we will learn that Rex Racer is no longer alive, and to keep his memory intact, Speed took his foot off the acceleration because he always wants his brother to be number one on that track, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, this scene, I did think this scene was pretty cool. The next scene, we're flashback time again, and this is, we do find out what happened to Rex. We also meet Trixie for the first time.
Yeah, we saw her for a second, but...
Yeah. So they kind of elaborate a little bit. Rex was, and this is what the public thinks happened. Rex kind of started fixing races and having some kind of mob influence, and was killed in a crash in the Monte Cristo cave or whatever the fuck it was called.
The ice cave.
Yeah.
It has a skull at the entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fixing of the races was actively Rex Racer was crashing and taking out people in races. It looked like real villainous.
Right. And it was he's working for the mob to take people out, blah, blah, blah. And so this leads to, in the other past, Speed Racer getting into a fight at school, because in this world, car racing is the only thing that matters to everybody.
Mike, this seems like your dream future.
No, it does. This is the world that I honestly...
It's like rollerball.
Yeah. But with a cooler sport.
Yeah.
Speed Racer did not have 4 TVs in his room.
No, he didn't. But young Trixie saves him from the guys that are... Do you know who young Trixie was?
I did not.
It's the younger daughter from Modern Family.
Oh, really? Yeah. Alex?
I don't know what her name is in Modern Family.
Yeah, her name's Alex. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Winter something?
Ariel Winter.
Yeah, good job. Hey,
yeah,
thanks.
Work.
I had to rear it down.
I like Modern Family. Jeremy, Modern Family at all?
Yeah, I love Modern Family.
Yeah, Modern Family's good.
Great show.
Mm-hmm.
On Peacock, feel free to pay Rabbit Troop subs for this endorsement. Yeah. Peacock's really good about setting up holiday-themed shows. So The Office, Modern Family, stuff like that.
The Halloween Modern Families are amazing.
And I was just about to say, Halloween Modern Families, Christmas Modern Families, Thanksgiving. They always have good specials. Such a good show. Yeah, that good.
Or maybe Peacock could give us just free subscriptions, so we don't have to pay for their content.
That's
anymore,
fine.
Peacock, we'll review it. We'll review it. We'll talk about it.
We could talk about you more often.
Yeah, review more of those movies on there.
Yeah, all of the Racer family, including Trixie, they're all at breakfast the next day when all of these things are happening. They're thinking about these things, and then we get a little knock at the door from Mr. Royalton, who kind of just barges in, and he's handing flowers to Mom.
He lands his private jet in their front yard.
Sure. Yeah.
I absolutely love this guy.
Yeah, he's great. I love him.
He is a good actor in this, and for the character in this.
Unfortunately, I didn't write down his name. He's great.
Yeah. Mr. Royalton is great. He comes in as this very somewhat charming man. Yes, I have a lot of money, but I understand, not everyone's the same. I bought you these, hey, Mom, I bought you these amazing flowers. She's like, we're having pancakes. He's like, I could smell them. He says something weird about them. And he's like, I'm going to buy your recipe. So we're going to set you up that way. Dad, here's these amazing cigars. And then he basically sits down and highlights. He's like, listen, I'm not trying to overall take you away from your family, but I want your family to become part of my family. And we want the racer team to be basically folded in to Royalton. And we're going to offer you a lot of things. Like, just think about it. But, I come from basically unlimited means. We're the top racers in the industry amongst a couple others. We're going to give you all the tech that you want, and your family will still, be your mechanics and various other things. Like, if we team up, we will be the greatest racers on earth. I've met your family. Why don't you come to this like crazy future city and meet mine, and I'll give you a tour of my building. And they do that.
So this guy has a very Tim Curry
Yes.
presence about
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen this guy. I've probably seen him more. I recognize him from V for Vendetta. That's the only thing that really.
Oh, good call.
Did you say Beaver Vendetta?
Beaver Vendetta, correct? Yeah.
I've never seen that movie, but I think I understand the synopsis.
It's the sequel to Zombievers.
I will watch Zombievers for this podcast.
Really?
Oh my god! Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, Zombievers is great. V for Vendetta, not Beaver Vendetta. But I like this guy. But yeah, so he's kind of like.
I wrote that as like going to Wonka's factory.
It is like
yeah,
going
it
to
was like
Wonka's
that,
factory. Yeah, it's like a montage of all this car tech and like the training regimen for their drivers, and I don't know. It's kind of a lot of it's tongue in cheek. Like you see a guy doing like the gymnastic rings where you like hold yourself up, and he does it with like one arm. I don't know. It's stupid, but it was fun for me.
I wrote down Candyland, so that's close to Willy Wonka's.
Well, yeah, and so
it's pretty much colorful, and it's like the most awesome auto factory business place ever.
yeah, it's got everything, including the one of two like hyperdrive foundries or whatever, which becomes a
Yes, we
plot point.
We find out that Royalton is in a rival company with corresponders that go into the car.
yeah.
And
Transponders, or some shit like that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, transponders, and he's like, we make the best, and it's noted that there's another company that makes them. He's like, but we make the best, and Spritle loves all the candy on the plane. So it's
Oh
not
yeah,
good about
Spritle
that.
and Chim Chim are getting into the candy.
We also meet Jack Cannonball Taylor, who is an older racer that Speed very much knows and is excited to see him.
Meeting Cannonball was pretty interesting. So far in the movie, when people aren't talking, the like orchestra music in the background has been on point, and it is throughout this whole movie. And it takes a really interesting turn when you meet Cannonball, like immediately foreshadowing.
I didn't pick up on that. What happened?
There's like 3 seconds where the whole thing just goes really dark.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was sweet.
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, Jeremy, you're gonna have to rewatch it too.
Yeah.
Round 3.
Okay.
Well, Speed, he gives Speed Racer a suit. He's like, I want you to wear this. Think of us. And Speed's like, this is great, but I need time to think about it. And you could already tell that Royalton does not like this. It's like a half snarl. He's like, I don't often give, offers like this, but okay, take your time.
Well, yeah, he's like, he's starting to get stern with him. And then Speed is like, well, if I had to give you an answer right now, it would be, and he picks up that he's about to say no. He's like, no, you know what? Take your time. Think about it.
Yeah.
Just playing them the whole time, just trying to buy them up as fast as possible, show them the auto mechanic place, how glitzy and glamorous it is, and then Speed was on the edge. He's like, give him a little more time, and he's working on him.
And Pops notes, because he's like, how do you like all this? He's like, I'm more intimidated than I am impressed. But he says, if Speed, really likes this, we're on board with Speed, if that's how he truly feels. And Speed is not fully on board with this.
No.
But he gives him time to think. And then we get a hard cut to Tejo, who is another racer who is getting the shit kicked out of him by the mob.
Mm-hmm.
This is a classic mob look, too. It's a mob room, the
it
mob
is.
boss behind the desk, and a big-ass aquarium right behind him.
And then you find
Yeah,
out
I like how they're in like an they
truck,
have
yeah.
designed
Yeah, they're in like
like
an
an office to go in the back of a truck.
Yeah. When you discover it was a truck, I think this is my favorite scene in this whole movie.
Yeah, that's where it picked up for me.
Yeah, we don't know what's really going on, but this guy Teo is getting just the crap beaten out of him, and they're like, you listen to us, we give you orders, you do as we say, you try to get a little too big for your britches, and this is the problem. And they just throw him out of a truck?
Well, Racer X shows
That's
up
right.
and starts
Yeah, Racer
shooting
X
up
is-
the place.
That's right. I couldn't remember. I know
Yeah, he comes out of nowhere.
He gets thrown from that truck, but I couldn't remember like what the order. Yeah, Racer X shows up and like starts messing with it. They throw Tejo out of the car, and Racer X sort of picks him up.
Yeah, he's there to rescue this guy. We'll find out more about why later. But yeah, this is also just establishing how big of a badass Racer X is.
Well, and I like how in this movie they fight with cars.
Yeah.
Like they like as if they were fighting and there are scenes where they're going to be fighting human on human, but they also fight with each other via cars.
Yeah, the scene kind of warranted it because it's the mob, and they have this big ass luxury. What is it? A bus?
Yeah,
or
like a
multi-bus?
RV or
But
something.
the windows open up, and there's like guns blazing from each
Right,
side.
they
I
have
love
like
the scene.
fucking Tommy guns.
Yeah, and they're shooting at Racer X, and like you said, Paul, they're showing Racer X is clearly badass driving around all of this. He gets in front and like totally cuts him off.
I love Racer X.
This is a cool scene.
X gonna give it to you.
So that's why I named my bowling ball after.
I don't like I don't like all the race scenes in this movie, but this one was a top probably 3 for me.
Yes, this one's fun.
Yeah.
We basically Racer X is like, hey man, like you got to start working with me and doing stuff, and Teo's like, nah. And that basically ends the scene. Like you're just introduced to both these characters, and you're kind of like left with some questions if you don't know who these characters are. And then we see that Speed Racer's on a date with Trixie, but Spritel's ruining everything because he's in the back.
Yeah. They're about to make out. Trixie wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the hard way,
Go, Speed, go.
I really like the dress that Christina Ricci wore in this scene.
She was looking all right in this movie. I like the haircut too. The bangs were doing it for her.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Speed is clearly highlighting like what his options are, and Trixie's always very supportive. But he kind of basically comes to a conclusion. We then see him back at Royalton. Royalton is noting that yes, he's got these new transponders. That's what a winning car will have. And Speed turns down the offer, and that's when we noted before that he then foreshadows to Speed. As an audience member, we see a little peek into the future because he turns like his face. Good call on the Tim Curry
Yeah,
comparison.
he goes from zero to hero.
His
real
face,
quick.
like very Tim Curry, like contorts into the Grinch, and he like you could see his like yellow teeth, and he's like it is like happy to you might die, and he's like, you think you could do this without me? You think I'm just giving you an offer? He's like, you're gonna not even place in the next race. Like
This
I
is
will
the
make sure
scene we were talking about earlier. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it was just like you're like I will make sure that you don't even place in the next race. Like your career is over. Like you don't just say no to me. Like you're now ruined. I will go after you. I'll go after your family. And like Speed Racer is like pretty alarmed by this too. He's like, "Whoa, dude!" And then he hands him back the suit and leaves. Okay.
No, meanwhile, while this is happening, fucking Spritel and Chim Chim,
They're going to Candy Town.
well, they're
they're
going to
getting into
Candy Town.
candy again.
The guard shows up. They sneak out of the airplane, but they go snooping through the factory, and they're wearing.
This is hilarious.
This is like the classic multiple kids in a trench coat thing. But fucking Chim Chim was on top,
Yeah.
so I was like, yeah.
A monkey on top.
I don't know why that got me as much
It's your
as it did.
classic boy monkey rolling around.
Yeah, but they see some like illegal race cheats being tested out, like a little grappling hook to hook two cars together, and he's like, "That's cheating," and then the guards find him.
Yeah, in a lot of these races, what's been known is a lot of people have specific tech gear on their cars, and it's all illegal as hell. You're not really supposed to actively use these things. I guess like driving someone off the road is acceptable. And just know this is a PG
okay.
movie. No one dies. Like when your car goes off the side, you're in some like
that's
you're-
crazy
You're
too.
in like a foam bubble
Right, it's
that
like
brings you to
It's
safety.
like the thing from Demolition.
It's like
Man.
Dawn dish soap.
Bubble-
It's like green and like different colors, and it like envelops you, and
Bubble-
then you just like go floating off into the ether.
Which seems fun. But we find
Yeah.
out, I don't know when this is brought up, but I'll tell you now, that Rex Racer died because he went in through a pass, and that was supposed to be activated, but Inspector Detector, who we'll meet sort of soon, investigated this and saw that that was dismantled, that there was foul play and someone deactivated that, and when that bubble was supposed to go off, Rex Racer actually died. And so, yeah, no one's really dying, but I guess you could run people off the road, but you cannot just like use weapons and do stuff like that.
Like these cars can like jump and flip around, and I think the intent was like you can use these countermeasures to get out of situations, but you can't like use them as an aggressor.
Yeah.
Although everyone does.
Yeah, I think
Everyone
that's-
does.
You
Like
can't
the
directly
entire
interfere.
movie
Yeah.
is people being aggressive towards one another.
Oh yeah.
I guess during Royalton's revealed Speed, when Speed resisted him, he was telling a story about some crashing stocks and how iodine fuel cells power everything.
Well, this is where we do get the rollerball story, where it's like this corporation who is now in sports racing controls everything. Very similar to rollerball. It was, this is a way to, kind of like give the fans what they want, also to like dull their senses. Like, hey, we put on these races, but in the background, we're taking all of your money and we control all of this. And this is all, a way we can manipulate stocks. And yeah, he highlights a story that in this race, which is very important in this movie, in this 43 race, this guy won. And Speed thinks back at a point where when Rex Racer died, his father stopped working as a mechanic. The racer team just shut down. And then I guess they were watching this 43 Grand Prix. And they're like, wow, we didn't think this guy would win. But this re-energized Pops and his love of racing, just much like Rex, much like Speed, they just have it in their blood. Like they want to work on these cars, they want to do things. And Pops loved that race because it just showed him that, this is what racing's all about. And Royalton's like, that race was rigged, dude.
Yeah.
Like they're all rigged.
Yeah.
Like there's the hope you've ever had that was manufactured. I manufacture your hope.
Yeah. And on the sorry.
That's one of the things I really loved about this movie, because it's basically exposition just brought to you like a monologue. So it doesn't feel like just exposition.
Yeah, like Speed Racer is the surrogate for the audience in this movie because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, and these races that are so meaningful, like we understand why people would watch them and keep talking about them. I totally agree with you, Colin. Rather than someone be like, let me just sit down and tell you all of this. Like you just see these backstories unfold. Yeah.
Yeah, and the driver who won that race, Speed runs into in the locker room on the way out of Royalton. The factory or whatever.
No. He runs into him at the end of the next race.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, my notes were kind of
because it's really like the salt in the wounds at this point in time. So yeah, to kind of jump there, they go to this race. I believe in Fuji.
Yeah.
And it is correct. Race does not even, or Speed does not even place.
Yeah, him and Toga-Khan, the guy that was getting
Teho?
That was getting his ass kicked.
I think it's Taijo.
Is it Taijo?
I think it's Jay because he's Japanese.
Oh. Okay, Taijo.
Okay.
Taijo and Speed.
They
are
both get
out.
taken out, yeah.
Yeah, so they cannot go to the Grand Prix. Like, if you did not qualify here, you're done. Your season is done. They're done. And yeah, everything that Royalton said is come to pass.
Yeah, and he meets that guy who he idolized. I don't remember the character's name. It was Ben something, I think.
Ben Burns.
Ben Burns.
Yeah.
Do you know who that was?
Nope.
It was motherfucking Shaft.
Oh, he's a football player, isn't he?
No, it's Richard Roundtree of Shaft.
Oh.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Shaft.
He's a bad mother.
Says your mouth.
Yes, and he talks with him, and like it's just kind of that disappointment with meeting who you thought your hero was.
Yeah, he doesn't fully say that he was cheating, but there are beyond heavy-handed
He's like,
illusions.
yeah, you know what, kid? It's all about the victory or whatever.
Yeah, like you'll have better days or not. Bye. and,
Bye.
and it's all super disheartening.
Yeah.
And this is where Racer X just shows up at the front door.
Yeah.
This is
front
kind
door.
of this is weirdly off-putting for me. I understand, and they actually explain it, but Inspector Detector, who doesn't think everything is going accordingly in the business world of the racing circuits, shows up with Racer X. Racer X has been working with Inspector Detector to find out what's going on, but Racer X is in basically a superhero outfit. It's very bizarre. They do highlight that like he cannot reveal his identity, and he's working in secret, etc. But
Well, he can only show half his face at any given time.
Yeah.
So he's Batman, pretty much.
He is bad.
And he has a Batman aura. I noticed that when he picked up Tejo earlier. It's kind of like he's in a Batmobile. Looks kind of looks like Batman.
kinda.
Yeah.
He's Racer X.
But they're going after Royalton.
Yeah, so they're explaining that Tejo has been working for the mobsters who are working for Royalton, basically doing what Rex was accused of doing in the past, like kind of taking people out for Royalton's purposes. And that Tejo is willing to rat on Royalton and provide documents that support this if they can protect him. But in order to do this, they need to get into the Grand Prix And the only way to do that, since they were both taken out of the previous race, was to enter the whatever rally is about to happen.
Yes.
Like an unsanctioned cross-country race.
Yeah.
I like this because this is, for the racing fans, this is basically the Paris-Dakar rally.
So for me, as I
is
said,
awesome,
the beginning race, I was like, that's my top two. The rally race is my absolute
The rally
favorite
race
part.
is dope.
The rally
it's
race
fun.
reminds me of Lamar, like what were like the rally races on like it was like Captain Caveman and Shaggy and Scooby, like what were,
Wacky, is that
Wacky
Wacky
Racers?
Racers?
Wacky races,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
those are fun.
essentially what this
Yeah.
is, and it's not just like a 5-minute race or whatever, however long these races are. Like this is going to take multiple days. That's the rally.
Yeah.
You have group members that are actively supporting you more than I think normally would. Still, you'd have like racers in, a 5-minute race or less, but this is just like way more. And again, as Jeremy noted, unsanctioned, that there's a lot of looking the other way. People die on this race. Rex Racer died on this race. And I think it's one of the reasons Speed wants to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone-
Pops isn't having any of it.
Yeah, Pops
Well-
calls out. He says that rally races are for like jackals and thugs.
Yeah.
Sold me on it more.
Yeah. No, want to watch it.
Well,
now.
and so like there are like interspersed scenes like as all this is happening of like Speed Racer getting an updated car with some like defensive measures on it, but also of the mob hiring other people to kind of go after this group of people so that they're eliminated.
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Although, like morally, I think the spirit of the racing is ruined by that. It does bring up interesting complexities that, like, people could be hired out to be like, you're never going to win the race, but I just need you to take out this person. Let me tell you about how Mario Kart was played between Lamar and I. There were moments where Lamar and I were like, we don't have a lot of time to always play this game. So we would race for real. Like like how many like parts are in a Mario Kart circuit? Like 4 or 5 courses. Let's say 5.
Yeah.
We would race the first race, and like whoever won, that's who was gonna win that circuit. So I wouldn't actively go after Lamar. Lamar wouldn't go after me. We would win the race. One of us would be in first. One of us would be in second. In the next race, hypothetically, usually me, I would get in second, and then I would just turn around and go the opposite direction on the track and became Lamar's gunner. Like Lamar would be in the lead and I would actively like seek people out to destroy them. Like Lamar's like, all right, there's this guy behind me. I was like, that guy's in 8th place now. That guy's never ranking ever again.
Sure, this is highly frowned upon in the Mario Kart community, but
This is
I'll allow it.
it's Mario Kart for jackals and thugs.
Yeah, so I'm like, Lamar and I know that game, so I appreciate it.
Nintendo Rollerball.
Yeah,
Damn right.
Yeah, it kind of is. But yeah, so they go to this. Pops and Ma Racer don't know, but Trixie's there to help him out.
And Spritle does know.
And well, Spritle is I thought Spritle didn't know. He wanted to watch the race, even though Pops didn't want him to, because they thought he was on a skiing trip banging Trixie.
Yeah.
I think Sprito did know that they were going because he heard.
maybe.
I think he was eavesdropping again.
He's
and
always in
overheard
a
it.
fucking trunk or something.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
didn't want Pops to know that they were
Yeah.
going to the race.
Oh, I got the quote that Colin has, like, from Pops. It's a back alley sport. Jackals, headhunters, etc.
Yeah.
Nice.
They did it.
And we have the I love this scene, like the montage of all of the other teams being
Payouts.
bribed.
Yeah, I love that scene
And I
too.
love the other teams because there's like the team that they wanted to win. It's called the Snake Oilers.
Yeah, Snake
and
Oilers.
they're all dressed up like like pimps with these dope
Yeah.
leisure suits.
Trixie's in a helicopter. She's all about, like, I'll be your eye in the sky.
Yeah. There was like the team, like the Hager, the horrible team, like the weird.
That's what
Vikings.
reminds me of those, like, wacky races.
Yeah.
Like, these were the teams. Like, you wouldn't get everyone, but you'd get, like, just Scooby and Shaggy.
Right.
And then you would get, like, just 2 other people.
And they tried to take out Speed Racer with like a beehive and a catapult.
That was the best.
One of them has like a fucking like a mace attached to the bottom of their car,
Yeah.
which he then
Flailing
uses
around.
as a mace.
Yeah, but so there we have the first leg of the race where everyone's trying to take him out, and Tejo and Speed and Racer X are all kind of like working together with Trixie and the helicopter spotting them.
Yeah, with the Headhunter Army. I wrote, basically, it looks like the Headhunter Army, a bunch of pink ladies, and the Barbarians.
Yeah, was the Headhunter Army the the soldier ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
I-
flying foxes were the
Flying
ladies.
foxes.
I love
ladies,
that.
yeah.
I like how they were bought off with diamonds. The headhunters were bought off with cash, and the barbarians were bought off with furs.
Yeah, I thought the scene was
Yeah.
was just kind of
Like
really
minks.
fun. Yeah. So meanwhile, Pops realizes what's going on because he sees him on TV.
Sort of. Sprite's trying to hide it.
Yeah, Sprite's
really,
trying to
really
hide it.
poorly.
Yeah. But eventually he just kind of concedes, like, fuck, Pops, look what's happening.
Yeah,
So they all fly to wherever the fuck they are.
Like really fast too.
Yeah,
'cause
they
they're
get there
there
real quick.
when the race is over.
Yeah, so like,
Well, yeah. There's multiple days to the race. So after day 1, now they arrive there. And
Yes.
It's like night 1.
yeah, so
And they
Speed's cooling
lose
off.
day one. Their team loses.
Yeah, they're not in the lead, but they don't need to be yet.
I like how that scene was like in the desert. It looked like Mad Max. Can we
Totally.
all agree? It felt like Mad Max.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Tejo is pissed. He, as Mike noted, like they are not really ranking, and although that's the case, an interesting conversation as between Speed and Racer X. Speed very seriously looks at Racer X and said, I thought we made a really good team today. It felt like we've been driving for a long time. And Racer X just goes, if you say so, and walks right out of the room, which is like super ominous. Like, all right.
Yeah.
But then Speed's with Trixie at dinner. They love going on dates. I like the Speed Racer dates.
Yeah, it's nice. But Pops shows up and kind of jams the whole thing out.
Yeah, he's super pissed off. He blames Trixie too. I like that he does not hold back from Trixie.
No.
He's like, you too know that the death of my son ruined this family, and you've witnessed this. I was like, ooh, you were like calling it as you see it, Pops. Like,
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. He's bummed about
he is not wrong. Yeah,
He's dumping on him.
but
everyone retires for the evening.
But Speed refuses. Speed's like,
Yeah,
I'm not going
he's not-
home.
yeah,
I'm
right.
not doing this. And Mom steps in, and Mom's like, we're all going to stay. Even though Pops is like, no, I'm bringing your ass home.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's like, no, we're staying. And then Pops just goes, Sparky, who's their mechanic, let's get on that Mach 5. Like, we've got to alter it. I know the government put some stuff in your car. It's not turning the way you want. I think he says like leans heavy on the left, and he's like, Sparky, let's go fix this. So he's basically got his mechanics back. Begrudgingly, Pops doesn't like this idea, but I like the idea that Pops is like, I also don't want to lose a second son, and if
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, we've got to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, if you're gonna do it, I guess I'm gonna support you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like it, but we also get Pops in the middle of the night, really supporting the gang, because there's a ninja assault.
There's ninjas.
great.
Ninjas have been sent out to kill all the racers,
So the first one tries to take out Tejo,
which they kind of do.
They kind of do. They use the old
Yeah, they get him.
Poison down the string trick.
from like Grosse Point Blank, and I guess
Classic ninja.
and I guess more
Classic
accurately
ninja.
from whatever that You Only Live Twice was the James Bond movie that they did that in.
Well, they only live twice.
He did. And it does work. He gets some poison in his mouth and he's kind of paralyzed. This is the only ninja with any degree of success. Because
Razor X is basically
Yeah,
suited
they
up
suck.
and ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in bed, but
Yes.
he makeshifts a mask and he's,
he
he's
whips
ready.
like a pillowcase around his face to make a mask and just beats the shit out of everyone.
But Pops is real, the real force. to
Pops
be
is
reckoned
giving
with.
people the
He
fucking
is, man.
windmill.
He is an
love
unstoppable
this.
force.
There's a scene where he's grappling one and it zooms up on his ring and you can see his ring is he a Greco-Roman
Wrestling.
wrestler champion. It's like, oh shit. Even the ninja goes, uh-oh. And
Yeah.
he starts tossing him around.
Pops eventually.
I like how Trixie at one point she goes, "Oh my god,
Was that
a ninja?"
and Pops follows up with more like a nanja.
Ah, yeah. That was great.
The nanja.
And then Tejo's sister Haruko shows up.
Yeah, so now that Tejo can barely stand. He can't race tomorrow. So they come up with a plan to kind of keep things moving along.
Lucky Haruko was there.
Lucky Haruko was there. So we have Trixie taking Tejo's place in the car.
Yeah.
Haruko taking Trixie's place in the helicopter.
And Tejo goes on a plane to go be sent back. But
Dressed
he's
up like his sister.
dressed up like his
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
Very complex.
Yeah,
I think
a lot of-
needlessly complex.
Yeah.
A lot of moving
I had to
parts.
go back and see that one because that threw me for a loop there.
Not only can Christina Ricci fly a helicopter, but she's also like a pretty decent race car
Right.
driver.
Yeah, I like that, and that is that. Like, if anyone's watching, they would be like, "Oh, like so just like anyone could drive this. Speed and Trixie have a pretty extended conversation where she said, he's like, I don't like that you're on these like back alley, races with me. Like, this is dangerous enough. And she said, you've always said, like, I'm good enough that I could compete with a lot of the racers that you have ever gone up against. And he's like, that's true, but this is a pretty much like a lawless race. So he's concerned, and he has valid concerns, but I like that it's noted that Trixie is a badass driver. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been on the track as a small child, and she's been hanging out with him that entire time. It totally makes sense that she's probably also driving with him on the tracks.
One would hope, at least. And hey, we even get when he's driving around, this is where we get Spritle. Go, Speed, go. They do it.
Yeah.
They did it.
Well, so Tejo, who's in the airplane, the gangsters try to take over the airplane, thinking that they're going to capture the sister and like use it for a bribe, I guess. They all get their asses kicked by the people in the airplane.
Yeah, they're like, get this cheating.
Yeah, because they knew it was coming.
And they're cheating.
And they were cheating. So once this was established, now they were going to swap Tejo back for Trixie.
Basically, in the past.
Because he's sobered up now.
Yeah,
he can drive.
he's good to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, it's like they have to go through like a mountain pass, and they're going to go off to the side, and in this
The
mountain
Maltese ice cave.
yeah, that's where Rex crashed and died.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in this cave, like a lot of emotions, a lot of like weird things happening. But yeah, they are totally right that they're going to get out of this kind of pass. Tejo will be back in, and they'll switch everything around. But the mob comes yet again.
Yeah, so when they go for the swap, the mob swoops back in. But again, everyone was kind of ready for it. Actually, I think Spritle saved the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And then Chim Chim threw some Chim Chim cookies around.
Or poo.
It was poo. Yeah.
Right into a guy's face.
Yeah, the
He
guy
didn't like it.
didn't like that.
And
at all.
I love this fight scene. This is all like martial arts fun. It's
yeah,
the whole
the
like
fight.
See, I did not like this
Oh,
fight
really?
scene.
Really?
I did not like it.
It's one of the
it was
non-car
too much
fight
for me.
scenes.
It was too comical, and I know that it's a comical movie, but I just couldn't get into it.
Oh,
Okay.
man. All right.
I felt one with Sparky.
Yeah, because Sparky does not know how to fight. He's just kind of getting.
Yeah,
it.
he sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they get the upper hand on the mob and they take back control.
Mm-hmm.
The mob's like,
This fight scene kind of won me over, Jeremy. I don't know. Before, I thought this was kind of cartoonish, but this one was cartoonish, over the top, but in a good way. I kind of like this fight scene.
It's also weird to see that like all the mobsters have guns, and that wasn't weird to see. But the Racer family gets a hold of them, so it's like weird. Like you're watching Speed Racer hold a gun to someone's face, but he quickly throws it down, and you could just tell like that's part of the PG sensibilities and
Yeah.
what Speed Racer is all about. Like we're not using guns and stuff, but for a moment, I mean, it's like also like watching when Batman has had a gun on occasion. You're like, whoa,
Right.
Batman, you've got a gun.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But the end result of this is that they everything goes as planned. They swap back and they do win the rally, which now gives this team the rights to enter the Grand Prix, which is what everyone wanted.
Yeah, maybe I got a little lost here. So, like, one person could kind of go to
One
the Grand-
person.
Yeah.
There was one invitation.
So I don't fully know why Speed was absolutely on board with all this. Like, I know it was like the better thing, and I know Racer X kind of was like, there's bad people out there, but like, I just feel it was weird that Speed couldn't be invited if he won as well. Like all three of them should have been invited. It
Yeah,
was
you would
kind
think
of
the team would be
Right.
able to go. That's what I inferred from watching it, but that is not the case apparently. You
Yeah,
just
this
get-
was just a little confusing for
Yeah.
me.
Maybe it was one of those things where it's like, it's like none of them had enough points or whatever to get into the Grand Prix, and so maybe this was just another race that gave everyone enough points, and maybe Tejo was the only one with enough points after gaining the points from winning this race, was able to qualify for the Grand Prix, something like that.
I mean, so do you just feel like Speed was like, although I can't go, I want him to go, so he takes
Maybe.
down like the Royalton.
I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the
Maybe he's
motivation.
like
And then-
racing
Maybe.
for his
Yeah,
team.
they're
Maybe
like-
the team leader gets to go in.
Yeah, because they're like, hey, if we want any chance of doing this, then you guys have to work as a team versus having zero chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But
I also want to make for this moment. This is the famous scene where after Speed crosses the finish line, he does his victory pose. This is the famous
Yeah.
pose.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the camera's been-
Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
So that was nice. Nice little callback.
Yeah, but it was all for naught because there was a bit of a double cross. So Speed got roped into this thinking that they were going to use this as an opportunity.
And get these files and documents.
Yeah, to get the files and documents to take down Royalton. But Teijo Togakan just says, you know what? Now that my team has won, we're going to use this as an opportunity to up the stock price of our company, which Royalton wanted to buy.
Right. That was like a side deal between that company and Royalton.
Right. So now Royalton is, if he still wants the company, he's got to pay for a winning team, not a losing one.
Right. And he does. He
does, but
organizing deals.
He's not fucking happy about it.
No, it's like a lot more too.
But also, Teijo
he is
decides
not.
he doesn't want to race in the Grand Prix. Like, he got the money for his family. That's all he wanted to do. So he's out.
And then I note Speed Racer drive dances out his rage on the track.
Paul, that is exactly what I have written down as well.
Drive dances.
Yeah.
I got this Speed driving angry.
Yeah, Speed lets out some steam.
Yeah, and then Racer X
there.
gets on the track, and it's just bonkers because, as we've talked about, like, cars are fighting one another, and these are like friendly nudges between the cars. These cars would just totally be destroyed in real life, but it's like, smash, smash, smash. Like,
Yeah.
I got you, buddy. Let me smash you out of the way of this.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch. And Racer X gets out of the car, and he's like, "Wow, kid, like you could drive. Like they're like you're the real deal." And I like right here, right now. He's like, "Are you my brother, Rex?" Like, there is no pretense. It is no. And Racer X takes off his mask, and he's like, "Dude, this is who I am. I just can't, show many people my identity because they'll come after you too." And he's like, "You're not my brother." He's like, "Nah, man, your brother's really dead, and I'm really sorry, but you're a hell of a driver. And when you like unlock your greatest potential, I just hope I'm there to see it."
Yeah.
I love this so much because they hint at it so often that it's like going to be a
Right.
non-twist when he gets the reveal. So I was like writing down like, oh, what a non-reveal, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm not your brother," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I felt like that the whole movie. Like, just ask him. Just go ahead, ask him. I mean, come on. And they finally did it, and we all got not what I expected.
Yeah.
I like the next scene that's coming up where they replay kind of the first scene in the movie, where instead of where it's Speed Racer's kind of walking by the dad saying, "Hey, I got to get out of here. Like, you guys are going to get injured. This is my decision." Same thing in the first scene with his brother,
Oh,
but
yeah.
this time the dad like stops him and says, "Hey, I support you, but I just want you to hear me out on one thing."
I do
And
like
that's
this
what he
scene as
should
well.
do.
Yeah. Like, you could tell Pops is more dynamic. Like, I messed it up with, your brother, and I should have said things, and now I just live in regret, and I'm going to say those things before you leave. And it's really interesting because the whole situation is diffused. Like, the tension like actively drops in the room. Speed very much listens to his dad. He very is much open to being like, "I'm not leaving you forever, but like, I need to do this. We could always talk." Like, it's very interesting. I also don't really understand Speed Racer's plan right now. Like, he's leaving to do what?
I don't even know that he knows.
Okay.
He just kind of, he feels like there's nothing left for him there. Maybe I'm lending more weight to this stupid PG cartoon.
well, I'm just like,
He's got that speedy angst.
Yeah, but
well-
he just wants to get out.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, as a audience member, I have no clue no clue at all what his plan is. Like, he's not racing. He's not invited to the race.
Right.
Like, I don't know if he's like going to go underground. Is he going to contact Racer X? Who the hell knows?
Well, I think he got to see firsthand what Royalton told him about, that maybe he fully didn't believe, that like this is all about the money, the race that he entered, so that Teijo could do this.
Do you think he would then just go then pull what Rex did and then just go into rally races and just gun for villains and purposefully try to take them off tracks?
Maybe. I mean, that sounds like more fun.
It does, but then it just seems like
It does.
you're not winning. You're going to keep ruining your car. Cool.
Right.
Like, they're not going to place. You didn't kill them. Like, they're in
Right.
those green bubbles of safety.
Well, I mean, we never get to find out what he was thinking about doing.
we get a doorbell ring.
Yeah,
Haruko's back.
Yeah.
Haruko's back, yeah. And she's like, "You know what? My brother's kind of a dick. Like, this is,
I like this.
yeah, like, this is not how me or my family present ourselves. Like, this is not honorable. He's not going to race. Here's the invitation to the Grand Prix. You should do it."
Yeah, so it turns out it's transferable. That
Yeah.
if you are on the team and you don't want to race and you want to give it to another teammate, like, you have to. It's a part of an invitation. You could give it to someone else, and they have to accept your entrance into the Grand Prix. I like it.
Yeah, let's do it.
There you go.
Seems like more people should have probably known about this.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that you can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I would also think over the years, people would have used that as strategy. Like, if Mike is the best racer on our team and all of us are part of his team, like, the rally race might not be Mike's absolute best, but our whole job was to keep Mike alive, and then we give Mike the invitation. Like, I'm sure like teams have done this and strategized.
Yeah, maybe this stuff does go on. We don't.
Well, you know, if it's been rigged for the last 50 years, it probably hasn't really ever had to come up.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I do think it's pretty funny that the pops who's into wrestling just can't believe that the Grand Prix is kind of a sham.
Right. Yeah. Well, so now we have the other business deal happening. Royalton is signing with Musho Motors, who is the only other company that makes what's the piece? The condenser, the transponder. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Jesus, we're bad at this.
Yeah, Togacon and Royalton. Those are the names.
No, Musho. There's a third company.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Togacon is the racing team. Musho is the company that makes this device.
Yeah, that's right.
And there was like a triple. There was a three-way love triangle here. But so now that Royalton owns Togacon, even though it was for more money than he wanted, he has the leverage to buy Musho to now be the only provider of this crucial piece of racing equipment.
Except whatever piece of equipment is in Speed Racer's car, because he doesn't have any of that.
Right. Well, he has Pops making the magic for
Yeah.
him.
So, like, basically, what we see as an audience is all of these rival companies and all their fancy gadgets. They do make awesome stuff, apparently, but when it all is said and done, Pops, Sparky, and the racer team, they still make it. They make it by hand, and it might not be as tech fancy or flashy as the other stuff, but it's always going to be better. It's not
It's
mass
rocking.
manufactured. It's done with love. It's done with know-how. Like, you would just take it like Pops is clearly like, for the sake of this, like the best mechanic on earth. Like,
Right.
like he is so good at what he does. Like, he is desired just as much.
He's the boutique brand.
I think kind of the way he phrased it was, if you want a kick, you go with this brand or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's
like-
like it may not be the most efficient or the smoothest, but it's going to give you pound for pound.
it's not as
you know,
fancy
We're
as
gonna go.
those.
We're gonna go.
I like that.
It's like when Homer Simpson sewed those seatbelts on that mattress when he built his own car.
That's right. And some of these drivers wish they had mattresses on their car, because Royalton
Yeah,
puts
they get
out a
fucked
decree. He's like, you know what, $1 million bounty for Speed Racer. Anyone who takes him out, $1 million.
Yeah, and all the best drivers show up,
Yeah.
including the Gray Ghost that we met
Yeah,
earlier.
Cannonball.
Yeah.
Who Royalton's like, you know what, Cannonball, Gray Ghost, whatever your name is, I installed this illegal spear hook.
And that's what Spritel saw.
Yeah, that's what Spritel saw earlier. And Cannonball's like, you know what? I don't need this to beat him. Like, I'm a better driver. And Royalton's like, nah, you're probably not. You're gonna want this fucking speed hook. And so now we have
the Mach 6.
the Mach 6, which is
The
all
Mach
kitted
6.
out.
Yeah.
And we have the final race of the movie, the Grand Prix.
Well, Speed Racer actually shows up, and there's a lot of contention. Like, oh my God, like, you can't race. What's this guy doing here? And they present the invitation, and Inspector Detector's like, you're going to let him in, or we're shutting all of this down for days, months, weeks, whatever he says. Royalton's like, that would cost millions. He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, we're just going to go on with this race because we can't have that. And Inspector Detector's like, yep. And like one of the announcers, you see Speed Racer, and he's like, holy beep! And they just bleep it all out. Like, the announcer can't believe Speed Racer's there, which is fun.
Yeah, I love how stoked they all are that he's there.
yeah,
Everyone is stoked.
I think one of the announcers actually said like the presence of Speed Racers changed the rooms completely, and everybody, you can kind of feel it. Like I think the announcer said change the equation, and the kind of pans around, and you can kind of feel it. Everybody's eyes kind of shift at him, like, oh, it's 1 against 100 here.
Yeah, and I like there's also a touching moment that Sparky goes up to Speed before the race starts, and he thanks him. He's like, thank you for all that you do. And, Speed is like, I wouldn't have been here without you. He's like, dude, like, it's all of us. Like, I just like that. Like, it truly does feel like a team. I really like Emil Hirsch as Speed Racer. I think he does a really good job at this, conveying like serious emotions versus like kind of cartoonish emotions. He's just kind of fun as the driver, so I'm in. But that race starts.
Yeah. I mean, the race, I like the racing scenes in this movie. I know in Rollerball, I complained that we had to watch like several actual rollerball matches.
But Mike, you actively like watching like automotive racing.
I do. Yeah, I am a big motorsports fan, so this is better for me.
Am I wrong?
Still liked it.
I didn't rewind this one scene, but am I wrong? Does Speed swear at
Yes,
Cannonball?
he
Okay.
says.
Yeah, he does.
He says, "Don't bring that weak shit on my track." or something
Yeah.
like that.
I was like, good for
This
you.
is the one you get in the
Nice.
PG.
Yeah. Cannonball's like doing some like some just like terrible like things to him via the track, and he's like, yeah, get this weak shit out of here.
This track is bonkers. Also,
Yeah,
it's
my-
like
my
fucking
comment was, this is-
multi-stories.
Yeah, I wrote
It's
this
crazy.
this is beyond Mario Kart.
If anyone
Yeah.
has played with Hot Wheels in their past, they know all about this track. And I kind of like to change that. Up until now, we just gotten rally races outdoors and whatnot. This is the first like track that has loops and like spikes on it. This is a Hot Wheels track.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun too, and the head-to-head between the Gray Ghost and Speed Racer is pretty immediate, and he uses that spear hook. They combine the cars. Basically, Speed just is hooked. He can't get out. Everyone, the crowd-wise, they're like, they just seem going like
Yeah,
head-to-head.
they're just stuck or whatever.
But then Speed does this weird move where he basically like banks off a cliff and then separates both the cars by like running it into the middle.
He realizes that if he flips the car at a certain time, one of the on-track cameras will see the underside of the car with the illegal device on it that is connecting them. So he uses a little car thing.
And he also uses that same camera to cut the sever the connection.
Yeah, exactly. So at the same
that's a
time, he
fucking
frees
twofer.
himself, and like on the Jumbotron, everyone can see that the Grey Ghost and Royalton were cheating.
Yeah, and they shut that down immediately. I mean, the announcers are like, "Wow, what a disgrace of a driver to do that!" And this is sponsored by Royalton. He would have had to put that in. So, good luck with the stocks on that company. And you just see Royalton is pissed.
Yeah, like everything's falling apart.
Yeah, he's
they're like,
not
the
happy.
Grey Ghost, like they're taking him out of the Hall of Fame for this. Like, it's like right away everything's getting shut down.
And I mean, we've got the directors of the Matrix because we just get Neo'd the one in this moment, and I like it. I mean, going back to Star Wars and Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker in the X-Wing, where it's like, use the Force, Luke. That's what he does. It was just, things back. He listens to the car because the car is stalled out.
Yeah, the car's stalled out, and like they don't have radio communication. And so Pops and Sparky are talking. He's like, how can you get this thing back on? Like, what process could actually work? And they kind of talk through it, and they're like, well, if he does this and puts it in reverse and like hits the windshield wiper 3 times, like it'll come back on. And he's like, will he know to do that? And he's like, I don't know. but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like Speed Racer's in there like using the Force. He's like, if I do this, and he just kind of feels
He
it
touches
through.
two things.
Yeah, I think he says just everything just makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he like in a backwards way like starts the car, and then he is the one.
Oh yeah, he's just racing to end all racing.
I just wrote he destroys cars. Like it's like a joke now. Like, I mean, I don't mean that like as the movie's a joke, but like his driving abilities in comparison to anyone else on the track is a joke.
I mean, it is like when Neo is just wrecking all those little squid robots with his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everything he's passing everybody.
I kind of thought it was more like highway hypnosis, where you kind of just zone out, and then in a
maybe,
minute
yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
at the end.
Racer X, we do find out like he's in the stands watching, and he's like, I definitely wanted to see it. And Inspector Detector is like, hey buddy, like, do you regret doing this to your family? Highlighting, you are Rex Racer, you hid your identity. And then they show he was in the cave.
Yeah, him getting like plastic surgery
He got
done.
out.
Face off.
Yeah, he immediately gets face offed, and it is Rex Racer, and he's like, if that's something I have to live with, then it's something I have to live with.
Triple twist.
It's like really kind of weird.
They never find out.
Yeah, they never find out, which I totally dig. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even setting it up for a sequel. It's just like that would be probably more realistic as an ending.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it would have been a better movie if at the end they like, yeah, we replaced your face with this guy we found in the plane wreck. like out in the Bahamas and like make a reference to Lost.
Nice.
In the original cartoon, Racer X is the brother, but he didn't have. There's no like triple twist, right? It just is
I
his
don't
brother.
think it was ever really said to Speed that was the case. I think
Yeah, he has no idea that Racer X is his brother.
yeah, in the cartoon, I don't think he ever knew. Yeah,
Okay.
I think there's like a lot of allusions to it.
I think that's right.
But yeah, hey, Speed Racer, earn that milk. Everyone's drinking that milk, as gross as that could be.
That's a real racing.
I know.
That's what they do.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Only
It's
for
gross.
that lame ass IndyCar stuff, though.
Gross.
I think
Super
they
gross.
spray it all over them too. I think they just drink a little.
Well, I mean, you just poured milk all over your body. You could take those clothes and burn it in a field.
Milk was a bad choice.
in the middle of summer, like have that on you, just the sun baking.
Like we have champagne in this bottle right here. We can do that. Like milk.
nah.
Give me the milk.
I'll take anything. Well, Speed's about to kiss Trixie, but Spritle gets in the way and warns us that there's going to be a kiss. They kiss anyway.
I like that.
We see a little future forward that Royalton goes right to prison. And Speed and the family are holding the trophy. The end.
Yeah.
Speed Racer. And I love the Speed Racer remix at the end of the song.
Yeah.
It's like a hip hop remix, and they're using a lot of sound clips from Speed Racer. It's a ton of fun. And then they like go through like pictures of Speed Racer and stuff like that. Well, before we get to our last set of reviews on Speed Racer from 2008, as always, feel free to reach out to us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. Is there a movie you want us to review? Is there a movie we haven't heard of? Is there something we need to know? Do you still need to hear Mike's voice in your ear holes? We can make it happen.
Yes.
Just like that. If not, reach us at rabbittroopsucks.com. We have our episodes there. There's merchandise. Hey, go get that Christmas shirt. It's not too late. It's like the end of Scrooge. Go out there, meet someone, hug someone, get that shirt. It's never too late. You could change, man. I've changed.
You got a party hardy, Marty.
So get those shirts, get some merch. Hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. Let us know any of those things. We post pictures and various other things. Everyone's we're gonna come back at you too with gifts, and Speed Racer was a gift for Mike and I. We talked about presents, and next time around there's gonna be another present. We'll talk about that. But I'll just open up. I really like this movie. I've seen it before. I own this movie. I totally enjoy going back to it. My whole view from the start has not changed. If you like the original Speed Racer cartoon, I cannot imagine why you wouldn't. And if you don't, or like this movie, that is. And if you don't, I understand. The big pull too, I know this movie is goofy. This movie is PG. And for a PG movie, this movie, I do feel extends itself as much as it can for a PG movie. I'm kind of proud of it. I love the actors in this movie. I thought it was great. Boom.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I did not like this movie as much as you, Paul, and Mike. You guys, since you've seen this movie for years, have been ranting and raving about how you love this movie. I have put it off on watching it for years, and I finally watched it earlier today before the review, and I thought it was pretty good, but not amazing. I wasn't a fan of the older series, although if it was on, I'd watch it, be like, whatever. I thought that this adaptation or whatever the Wachowskis were up to, whatever they were trying to do, I thought they did a pretty good job of it. So I won't complain too much about this movie. I really liked the racing scenes. The aesthetics were mind-boggling.
Does anyone not like the casting of this
The
movie?
casting was fantastic for me. I'll say that. I'm glad you brought that up. I love every cast member of this movie. This movie's all right for me. Yeah, toss it up to Colin. What did you think of this movie?
I'm kind of right there with you. I thought it was pretty good. I definitely had a ton of fun. I hate Spritle or Sprittle, whatever his name
You
is.
hate it?
I hated
He's the challenging part for a lot.
He is. That's
fair.
He had
test.
the best part of him was when he was trying to hide watching the rally race from his dad, and he's like flipping channels. And he flips to a thing that's in German. And the dad's like, "Oh, it's in German." He's like, "Oh, but not the chimp parts or not the monkey parts."
Yeah.
That was the only
That was
part
funny.
with him in it that was super funny. This movie could have been a lot shorter if he had just ratted out the bad guys right away. If he went to inspector, detective, or whatever, and it was just like, hey, these guys are cheating. Go check out their factory. A lot of this could have been avoided, and he didn't because he fucking sucks.
Well, that's what happens when you let the chimp be the top half of the trench coat.
Yeah,
That's
you
true.
can't
Yeah.
put them on top.
That was a mistake on their part.
Yeah, Chim Chim didn't rat out the bad guys enough. But yeah, the music was amazing. All of the scenes were amazing. I thought it was pretty fun. So overall, I really liked it.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, so like I said, I watched this movie for the first time 2 times before this recording, and the first time I wasn't really paying that much attention to it, but I was just trying to get a feel for it. And I usually do this sometimes with movies that we review on this podcast. The second time I watched this morning, where I could like sit down and really pay attention to it, I liked it better. But at the same time, I'm kind of on the same boat with Colin and Lamar, and that like the total 100% green screen movies, they're tough to do. They're tough, and I think they can do them better now with updated technology. So I think that if this movie were like remade, maybe even like today or 10 years from now, it could be way better, and I would probably enjoy it more. But the way they did the green screen, and I understand why they tried to do it, it was just jarring the whole movie. A lot of back and forth between past and like present time, and even sometimes in the future. They did that too much for me, but I did enjoy the storyline. It's complex, and it has like adult themes to it that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the characters and the cast and whatnot. So, you know, I'm middle of the road on this one. There's things that I disliked, things that I liked. So, yeah.
I was not expecting a stock manipulation as plot line in a speed racer.
Yeah.
Hey,
was
Jeremy,
good.
if you're trying to get a feel for a movie, you don't have to spend an hour and a half. You could just watch a trailer.
Well, I know, but I was driving. I was multitasking. I was driving and watching it at the same time.
I'm glad though you brought up the green screen. Like just for like a quick comparison. I mean, I know a lot of people just hate green screen. I am one of those people. Like, but this movie just goes into.
It was the only way to do it.
Yeah,
the way they wanted to
this
do it.
movie's like, hey, like there's no pretense. It's all green screen. And I'm like, okay, like it's a PG racing kind of fantasy movie. So if anyone's hearing this and they're like a big Star Wars fan, my problem with Star Wars is, you're gonna have a serious conversation like blank Jedi. The Force is in you. You're conflicted. You feel these thoughts, but in the background you see just like asinine flying things. You're like, this looks fake as hell. Like, and there's a huge disconnect because you're like, I'm really trying to empathize with these Jedis or whoever in Star Wars, but everything looks so fake. Speed Racer is so over the top. I'm like, I really don't have the biggest problem with it. As I said, it could be updated. I totally agree with Jeremy that even in now or 10 years, it'd be awesome. But because of the genre of this film, I think it successfully works. But Mike?
Well, I guess that leaves
Mike,
me.
what did you
We'll
think?
bookend this with the fans. I love this movie. I definitely understand the green screen thing is challenging for some people, but yeah, Paul, to your point, like they're not trying to create a rich, realistic environment. You're not like walking through fucking Mordor here. Like they're trying to insert people into a cartoon.
That didn't really happen, right?
I thought Mordor was a district of New Zealand.
Funny, did any of you outside of me see the new Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Yeah.
For sure.
I liked it.
Oh, it's
It was
great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, and I thought it worked on the similar reasons that Mike just noted, that because it was more of a comedy and a fun adventure, that even when the CG was like okay at best, I was like, I don't really care. The rest of this is fun. Like, I'm not seriously involved with it, and that's how I felt about Speed Racer.
Well, and they weren't trying to CG create a realistic environment. They were trying to CG create a cartoon. Like, I know people don't like Spritle, they don't like Chim Chim, and like the first fight scene that they're in where they go full anime and it's like Spritel's face and doing the tiger claw thing, like that's kind of weird and off-putting. But I still had fun with it. Like, yeah, Paul, you're right. Everyone in this movie is great. John Goodman is amazing. Susan Sarandon and whatever 2 extras they got to play her gigantic tits in this movie were amazing. I mean, that was out of control, right?
They were out of control.
Titties are never out of control, Mike.
So
Never.
I think, Jeremy, the fans want you and I to start a separate podcast where we just have off-color conversations about the women in the movies that we talk about. Because that's the direction this is going. But no, like, I mean, everyone did a great job. Like I'm a racing fan and a speed racer fan, so this is kind of I'm probably more predisposed to like this. But yeah, this movie is just fun for me, start to finish. It looks fun. Like this is one of those movies where you just get the sense that everyone that's in it is enjoying themselves a lot.
Oh,
Well, they all wanted
Yeah.
to do a sequel to this.
Yeah,
Like all of the cast wanted to do like a second sequel, and I think even the Wachowski siblings,
yeah.
like had the idea to do it,
Let's
but
do it.
it's just never come to fruition.
Yeah.
Maybe they're waiting. Maybe they're waiting for that fucking right green screen
Maybe.
technology
That's
to
fine, let's
fucking
do it.
blossom.
Christina Ricci like leaked in an interview that they were planning on doing a sequel. I guess it just
Yeah.
never happened.
Maybe someone just needs to send them an email and say like, "Hey, will you guys do this for us?"
Did you guys forget?
We
Can you
need-
do it?
We need to put the full weight of Rabbit
Maybe
Troop sucks behind
maybe
this.
RTS is like the fucking catalyst to
Yeah,
make this thing.
if we send
you
them
know.
an email from our RTS at Gmail address, they'll be like, "Well, okay,
Yeah.
we got some
We gotta
heavy
do it.
hitters involved now."
That's big money.
Yeah,
Hey guys, I just wanted to mention this movie's 15 years old.
I know,
You
isn't that
remember back then
Yeah.
just hearing rumors about the Wachowski, or how do you pronounce their names?
Wachowski?
I
Yeah.
said Wachowski.
yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Can you just imagine the rumors? Hey, we're gonna do a speed race. The creators of the Matrix are gonna do a speed
Yeah.
racer live action movie.
Yeah.
What goes through your head when you think that
When I heard that
2008?
excitement,
Yeah, I was fucking stoked back then.
Did you picture this is how they were gonna do it,
This
or
was
did you
better
picture
than I
more
could have
realistic?
imagined.
Yeah.
I walked into my house, took off my shoes, and put on a cardigan like Fred Rogers. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, like a guy said, if you're gonna do it, this was the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was a present for us, Mike. So
Yeah.
we did it. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed going back to watch this movie. And again, I know it might be polarizing. I'm still going to defend it. PG Speed Racer film. Well, the next movie we got going on. So we had a list of movies, and I think I said this maybe last episode, but I said we had Speed Racer, and as a placeholder for like a month, I just said ninja movie. And I was trying to think, like, I really wanted December just to be fun. And yeah, I decided, let's just make it a present for everybody. And we're going to watch Gymkata from 1985, which, good God, I hope that all of you watch Gymkata from 1985 before you listen
Yeah,
to
it's a
this
while.
Yeah,
episode.
please do.
Because your sense of reality will be shifted in so many different directions that you will become the Gymkata itself.
So what you're saying is, instead of a ninja movie, we went with a Nanja movie.
Nice, Mike. We did.
Yeah.
We did.
But yeah, we did. We went with a total Nanja movie.
Yeah.
If you've ever wanted to see a teenage gymnast using karate to fight communists,
Well, you got it,
this
baby.
is the movie for you. Yeah.
You stumbled upon Rabbit Troop Sucks, and you found your place at the table. After that, not to reveal all the movies, we will have a couple holiday films after Gymkata. So hopefully everyone is enjoying their December and gearing up to some fun festivities. One of these holiday films is just going to be a magical time for me, and I'm really excited.
Yeah.
You know, keeping on the theme of ninja movies, I was listening to Ninja Busters on the way back from Lawrence, Kansas.
That's proper for
also,
all for all
it's
of
a
you
4-hour drive.
For all of you new fans out there, Ninja Busters is a classic episode.
Yeah,
One of our better apps. Yeah.
Fucking go back and listen to that one and watch the movie, because that that's a wild one, man.
Jeremy, just know I
Such
own
a
that
great
movie.
episode.
I think I noted that on the podcast, but I
Yeah,
own that movie.
you should own that movie,
Yeah,
man.
the picture we used was of the like Blu-ray menu.
Oh my god.
That's that's
That's
The
true.
fact, the
That's how
fact
good I
that you
felt
have
about
that on Blu-ray is a fucking marvel in itself.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how Rabbit Troop Sucks rolls.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on Speed Racer, the upcoming Gymkata?
No, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, go Speed, go.
Go check out the like 90s alternative Saturday morning cartoon album that features Speed Racer done by Sponge.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
The
Also.
album is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't the Ramones with Spider-Man on that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Something like
That is a classic album. Yeah, a lot of Saturday morning cartoons were done by like a lot of like punk bands. That good call on that.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Well, with that, thank you for listening, listeners. Hopefully, again, you are enjoying your time in the December wherever you live. We're in Denver, Colorado. Jeremy is in Missouri, but we make it all work.
We don't hold it against them.
Jeremy wants to come here and go to Cherry Creek Mall again, so
Yeah.
let him.
They got the lights up. It's real pretty.
We've really got to get him to Park Meadows. We get Jeremy at Park Meadows, we're never seeing him again.
Yeah, if you take Colorado and Missouri, it's Como. Como.
I don't know if you want that.
Rabbit Troop Subs. Brought to you by Como.
Thank you for listening to Como. And as always, Rabbit Troop sucks.
Rabbit Troop sucks.
Como.
Yikes.
Oh my god.
Speed Racer. Well, he's the little brother of Rex Racer, who was my best friend and greatest rival.
I understand now what happened.
Huh?
It was an honor racing with you.
Congratulations, my friend.
Your style at the end was awesome. It really was.
Thank you. Remember, always play fair and do your best. I'll be watching you, Speed.
What?